What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, Vegapunk planned his death. No, I'm not joking. This is a serious affair. At least as serious as a theory is meant to be taken. Because I have a theory that may just explain the entirety of both Vegapunk's character arc and the story that we've seen him be on since the start of Egghead Island. And it involves the fact that even the Stella isn't the real body, but Punk Records is. And there is quite a bit of evidence, I think, to support this theory. But before we get into telling you guys about one of my favorite current theories, please guys, y'all know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this. More theories, more discussion videos, whatever. And share it around with all your friends who love the series. Let's get it going. Also, I gotta shout out my channel artist and good friend. He's the one who, as I was discussing this with him, actually prompted the idea for me, even making this video right now. But okay, everyone's here for the theory. What exactly is it saying? This theory states that at some point within the last few years, Vegapunk created Punk Records not only as a network for the spreading and storing of information, but also as a way of storing his real or true consciousness of some kind. For a comparison, it would be less like Punk Records is the internet, and more so like Punk Records is almost like the Matrix. And this lends credence to an idea that has been in the community since we learned about it, which is that Punk Records in some aspect has a god-esque or, self-serving aspect to it. Essentially, an omni-being. Now, as I said, it was only a thought before, but the idea for me was really cinched in the last chapter. See, in the most recent chapter of One Piece, York says something interesting when talking with Marcus Mars. She says, and I quote from the scans anyway, "We don't want to rack up any more sins." Now hold off a bit on what the sins are. We'll get to that later in the video. But if she's referring to the Vegapunks altogether when she says we, then that means that it just makes sense that there's something that is handing out these sins to the Vegapunks, which in this case would be Punk Records itself. So then, me and my friend were stuck thinking, how could this be possible? I mean, in general, Vegapunk is the smartest man in the world, so obviously, if anyone was gonna figure out a way to do it, it would be him. But I didn't just want to scratch it up to random genius like it was just a random thing. But that's when I remembered what he talked about earlier in the arc. Vegapunk referred to a West Blue scientist who was trying to figure out and manipulate the weight of a soul. So my thought here is, if he used that research or tried to build upon it, maybe he was able to extract all or part of his own soul and somehow incorporate it or infuse it into Punk Records. Now there is a whole host of reasons why this makes sense. First, it explains why he wasn't sad when he died, which I know is more subjective to how you interpret the panel, because he could be smiling about, the message going off. He could be smiling just about in general Bonnie and the others being saved. But he could also be smiling because he knows that his body is just a sacrifice when the real thing is within Punk Records. Maybe it's in Punk Records in such a way that it can't even be destroyed. Story-wise, it also makes sense because it would be the culmination of Vegapunk's character arc. I mean, the smartest man in the world who wanted nothing more than to learn as much about the taboo history as possible, and wanted that information to be made available to everybody, while the government, conversely, wanted that information to be hidden. So every point in his life was leading up to a sacrifice of the body so that both his mind and the information that it holds can be spread out to the rest of the world. Another reason this makes sense to me is just because, this can't be a coincidence, right? I mean, imagine the coincidence of you feeling like you're gonna be off by the government, and then the crew of an emperor just so happen to be there at the right time for you to be like, oh, please take me away. I mean, you gotta figure that as the smartest man in the world, Vegapunk can create something if he really wanted to escape. And I know people's major, opposition to this.
How could Vegapunk strike off on his own? He doesn't have power. He doesn't have physical strength. He can't fight. The government can overwhelm him and will, capture him.
And to that I say, firstly, you don't gotta be strong when you can make Pacifista and Seraphim. Though, okay, sure, and cost government money. But you already made them, just take them with you. And secondly, where in the world would he possibly go to where he won't be chased by the government? I mean, even till now, he is still not giving us a place where he wants to go. He doesn't have a plan. He just tagged along on the fact that the Straw Hats are going to Elbaf, but he himself didn't have a desire necessarily for Elbaf. And I mean, also, think about it this way. If he does survive, surely he's not going to be tagging along with the Straw Hats for the rest of the story, right? He's not going to become another Law. I mean, he could. I'm not going to lie, I don't see Oda doing that. It wouldn't make sense. Another thing you have to remember why this could make sense is remembering what Shaka told Dragon when they were on the phone at the very beginning of the arc. Shaka told Dragon, I have a feeling I'm going to die. But when he was saying that, was he referring to just Shaka? Or was he referring to Vegapunk in general? I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that Shaka is saying I, referring to Vegapunk, even though it wasn't Shaka himself, because we see the same thing when he's telling the Straw Hats about him visiting Ohara. Obviously, it wasn't Shaka, it was the Stella body who did, but he counted as himself. But that means in general, he's talking about all the Vegapunks, which again, we know is a correct assumption to say that he feels like Vegapunk is gonna die, because that's the government's plan, is to take out all 7 of them. There is one last thing I'll say to why I think that this could be a really strong theory, though it is admittedly a bit less concrete than, story evidence, because this goes to kind of meta trends. But Oda really loves using tropes and trends that are current, in current society. He takes them from real life and then dramatizes them for his story. As such, with AI being so prevalent now and us already being on a futuristically technological island, maybe that's the aspect he's trying to introduce. I mean, the Matrix did make millions. But now we get to another interesting topic to talk about with this theory. What the hell are the sins? It seems like a sin is some sort of negative event happening to Punk Records, such as why it would be a sin to blow up the lab because that's where Punk Record is being, housed. York also says we don't want to rack up any more sins, with the any more there suggesting that they already have some, which may be from the Seraphim rampaging in there, CP0's invasion, Kizaru and versus Luffy, or it could be from things that happened before the arc even started, just things that happened on Egghead itself. It seems like having sins seems to hinder the Vegapunks in some way, since it is an undesirable thing for York to want. She says she don't want them again, which means to some aspect, a sin is going to be bad for the Vegapunks. So with all of that information in mind, I'm going to go with the theory for now that a sin is something that the Matrix/God-esque version of Punk Records gives to the satellites, probably by way of punishing them for dangerous things that are done to, itself. Essentially, it's its defense mechanism, which I mean makes sense logically, right? It's gonna want to extend its own lifespan or whatever it has. So things that are attacking it or that could hinder that process, it's gonna want to punish. So the question now becomes, where do we go from here? Like, for example, what happens to the brain fruit? As far as we understand, the Stella body is the one that ate it, but if its soul or whatever is infused in Punk Records, does that mean that even if the Stella body dies, Punk Records will be the vessel? All I'm saying is that if it's meant to be like the internet, that is, meant to store information, then maybe the power to have literally endless storage space may be the most useful for it. I don't know, I'm just saying. And we also do know that he was able to give inanimate objects devil fruit powers. Though this would be different, it would be on a scale that we've never seen before, given that, the powers that we've seen him give inanimate objects have always been Zoan fruits. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. Maybe he got better. Also, if this theory pans out that it was a plot the whole time, that means that we're not leaving the island with a single Vegapunk alive. I mean, we already took out Shaka, Pythagoras, and seemingly the Stella. And obviously, even if York does survive, she's not coming with us. So that's already 4 out of 7 gone. And that will mean that the other 3 are each going to do self-sacrificing actions before the arc is over to ensure that the Straw Hats and Bonnie escape. I mean, in the last chapter, we already started seeing it with Edison's behavior. Nah, that guy's too funny. Cause bro really said, youth. And then jumped into a laser grid. Like, what are you doing? But again, it's because he said he has some sort of plan. And it would also just give a way for both the Straw Hat side and the government side to have wins. Because on the government side, they do, successfully accomplish their goal of taking out all the Vegapunks. But on the Straw Hat side, they know that he's not truly gone because Punk Records still lives on. And maybe that information is spread to the rest of the world. So yeah guys, shorter theory this time, but I really wanted to bring this to you all because I think that this has such a strong chance of happening, especially with the Stella seemingly dead. And if this doesn't pan out to be right, well guess what? It's One Piece. I'm gonna still love the series anyway. But what do y'all think about this theory? I really want to hear your thoughts about it. So please make sure to let me know all that good stuff in the comments. Now that's the end of the video, y'all, but guys, before we go, please, y'all know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this. I'm waiting, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. Remember, I'm trying to make a community, but I need your help to do it. Well, that's gonna be all from me, guys. I'll catch y'all on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Some of y'all be taking this theory making thing too seriously. Like, yes, we do it because we have fun. We love the series. We love seeing what connections we can draw. But if it doesn't pan out, it really just doesn't pan out. Like, what am I supposed to do? Cry about it? Like, why would I do that when I could just read the series that I love? But some of y'all be talking about Oda's a bad writer. He didn't do this, and that. You try and write an 11,000 chapter manga and tell me what's up.